I am the host, Richard Ravenbrook, a man, a life coach, and a spiritual mentor who has endeavored to find real spiritual truth and self-enlightenment. With experiences in various ministry types, pagan traditions, and even magical paths. With a love for Mother Earth and the balance of life, I work to channel spirit and to help educate and mentor those striving to deconstruct from mainstream religion and to empower them to find the divinity within themselves and to the truth around them. The messages are focused on everyday life, creating an environment of real coexistence, a world of mutual respect, love, and dignity. The pagan preacher is all things, the preacher and the pagan, speaking from the wisdom of spirit. Welcome everyone. Welcome back to the Ravenbrook Sanctuary. I am Reverend Kent Ravenbrook. I am the pagan preacher. Let's start like we normally do. Let's push out the negative. Allow the positive to come in. Let's open our minds and our hearts to what Spirit has to offer. Let us just open ourselves to what Spirit has to teach today. What I want to talk about today is July 4th, the 4th of July. Many of us are going to be out there celebrating Independence Day. We're going to be celebrating a day that we broke loose from England, created a new country, and found our new freedom in a new land. But what I want to talk about today is it's not always a good day for all people. For what happened in those days, though it was great for those that were escaping England and developing this new country on a foreign land. But our history is blurred and misscrewed by those that would not have us understand the truth. What we have to understand, and what Spirit wants to express even today, is though many of us have a reason to rejoice, many of us have reason to be sorrowed, saddened, because what we celebrate may have been the beginning of something for many. Sadly, it was the end of something for many more. Our Native American, if I can spit that out, indigenous people. Look what our ancestors done to Native Americans on this land. And note that I'm not talking strictly from a liberalistic standpoint, okay? And I don't want to get into politics, but Spirit has something to say today. And sadly, or should I say, and what Spirit has to say today is a word that is not always going to be taken easily by everyone. Because many of us are proud of our country. Many of us are proud to serve our country in the military and proud to stand in front of our flag, proud to say the Pledge of Allegiance. And those things are all good. Those things are all wonderful. But we need to take a breath and understand how those things came about, the truth of how those things came about. We need to recognize how those things came about, and they did not come about exactly as our history books want to tell us and our educators want to inform us. We need to take a step back and understand that while we were gaining our new freedom, our ancestors was taking the freedom from others. And we have an obligation today in modern society to give that freedom back, to do whatever we can to give back to the people that our ancestors took. People want to say that, well, it's not my responsibility to make right what they did wrong. And in many ways, I agree with you that we cannot be held liable, and we are not liable. But we do, in a moralistic standpoint, we do owe those people something that they have not been given. Promises that were given to them, treaties that were broken. And I'm not just speaking about Native Americans. This is all over the world, okay? But it's on a day that we celebrate Independence Day, the 4th of July. We're out setting fireworks off. We're all having a great time. We're all partying with family. We're doing whatever it is that we do on the 4th. But we have to recognize that this country is not just European and English people that gained freedom, but that many people lost their freedom. Many people still enslaved, still broken, building a country that wasn't theirs to claim at that time. I need to say that right, that though they were building, though they were giving, they were not given what they deserved. They were not given any type of freedom and land, and even the land that was promised them, they never gotten. We need to think about all these things when we speak about Independence Day. Yes, I am proud of my country, and I stand by my country, and I would defend my country to the death. But we need to understand, again, that Spirit wants you to recognize and to understand that this day is not for everyone that lives in the United States of America. In fact, it is a sorrow day. We had people that claimed to be Christians, claimed that this was a Christian land, that we were a Christian nation, all while we persecuted, destroyed, and slaughtered everyone that would not conform or that would not convert to such a religion. And the United States was not based upon Christianity. It was most definitely not a Christian nation, when in fact the United States was founded upon freedom of religion, not based upon religion. Many people want to say that our founding fathers were all Christian, and that's anything but the truth. You know, in fact, Thomas Jefferson even said, quote, "Religions are all alike, founded upon fables and mythologies." Abraham Lincoln said, quote, "The Bible is not my book, nor Christianity my profession. I could never give assent to the long, complicated statements of Christian dogma." Edison even said, "I cannot believe in the immortality of the soul. No, all this talk of an existence for us as individuals beyond the grave is wrong. It is born of our tendency of life, our desire to go on living, our dread of coming to an end." Some of these better than others. But what the whole purpose of just these 3 quotes is the people in those days were not what our history teachers would tell us. They were not all Christian-based people. The church would have you believe that because of control. It is easier because they have been trying to get a one religion nation for centuries. Constantine, everyone, all over the world, every emperor, every king, strived to get one religion in order to gain control and somehow create peace. Because mixed religions, it seems like we can't have peace. Because we just can't simply let the gods be gods and let us be what we are. We have to play the role of gods. But on the 4th of July, we celebrate a time that we broke free of a king. We broke free of tyranny. But sadly, my friends, as we broke free of tyranny, we did so ourselves, our ancestors, as they took everything they wanted and murdered and slain everything in front of them that would not move or conform. That's what we celebrate sometimes on July 4th. And there's nothing wrong. And don't get me wrong, I am not slamming the 4th of July, and I'm not slamming our country, nor the Constitution or anything of that nature. But all Spirit is trying to do is say, look, yeah, you have something to be excited about, maybe even proud of, something that means something to you and to your ancestors and to even those people that, come after us. But we have to accept and recognize how we got there and the people that were hurt in the process. Our ancestors did many, many wrong things, even in their strive to do right. Some of those things we could say, well, that was just the times. They weren't bad people, that was just the times. And perhaps that's true in some aspects, in some ways. Because even biblically, if we go back to biblical days, women were slaves. Women were sex slaves. Men would have multiple wives, and women were not allowed to speak. Children were stoned to death for being rebellious. Well, we certainly don't do those things anymore, do we? Times change, they do. But we still have to acknowledge. It really gets me when people say that, well, we need to live by the Bible. We need to live every word that's in the Bible. And did you just hear what I said? If we did that, we would be everything from slave owners to child murderers to utterly disgusting society is what we would see it today. But 2,000 years ago, it was normal. At least that's what they tell us. Why does it change? It's because we grow. We grow spiritually. And as Spirit talks today and speaks today in your mind and your heart, it's about growing even in this holiday. In that knowledge that our ancestors hurt many people. We took land that was not ours. And though I don't believe that we can own land, because Mother Earth is for everyone, and all land is for everyone, period. Just as all truth is. But we came, we conquered, we destroyed, and then we raised our flag as if we were the oppressed and that we conquered the oppressor. And in some ways, we did. But in some ways, many more ways, we did the oppressing. we did the hindering. Our Native Americans still live on reservations, still strive, still seek to be the people they are. We don't understand the things that our ancestors have taken from people. And it's been this way all over the world, with mass conversions and forced conversions of the corporate church. But this conversation is about the United States of America, and it's about the 4th of July. It's about making the 4th of July a day that is true independence for all people. And may Spirit, even today, while people are hearing this, may we stand and say, okay, on the 4th of July, this is the day my people gained independence. And I recognize the fact that my ancestors took the independence of others. And I stand today and I give it back. I give my Native Americans the right to practice their religions, the right to take land and to live as you would choose to live. That we should all find a way to live together in coexistence, because the gods put us all here together, created us all different for whatever reason. But the fact of the matter is, we're all here, and we are built differently. We have different traditions and different cultures. Most of us even understand different gods, different ways of the gods. But we, or our ancestors, have destroyed and destroyed throughout the last several couple thousand years. Let us just stop for a minute and listen to Spirit. Stop listening to the history teachers that tell us fables and lies, that tell us only the good things about what our ancestors done or did. But let us face the truth of where we come from and what they did. So the fact that we don't continue in that I stand today and I recognize the faults of my ancestors, the sins of my ancestors. And I vow to do whatever it is that I can to make right the wrongs that were done. Not because I have to, but because it's the right thing to do. We all are children of the divine. We all are divine within. Though we be different, we are all of the same. Mother Earth, our fleshly bodies are all made from Mother Earth. We all are connected together, yet we are different. And those differences is what can make us grow, can make us learn. Evil has come and tried to separate all the differences and conquer all the differences and push out the differences that would educate and enlightenment, because they want you to only know a portion of who you are and a portion of the truth. Because as long as you only have a portion of the truth, you never become fully enlightened and you never become a threat to the elite. Together, we understand truth. Together, we understand the hidden mysteries of God. And I know that that word God means different things to many people. Biblically, it says God is spirit. Native Americans, the great white spirit, are different, different. We all have a slightly different interpretation, and I may not have that exactly right, but I think everyone understands what I'm trying to say. We all are connected. And these separations, these wars, these conquerings has been for one reason, and that's to hold you back, to hold your families back and your children's back, your ancestors back, and your future generations back. We stop. We stop doing the things our ancestors did. We stop the hate. We stop the bigotry. We stop trying to play the role of God or gods and just be humans. We are fleshly bodies with a spirit. That's what we are. Human is merely spirit and body combined creates soul, human soul. But even when the flesh dies, the spirit will continue on. Understand this. Most religions understand this. Others, though they understand, they teach something slightly different because they don't want you to understand the truth. Biblically, it says you have to seek in order to find. Egyptian proverb speaks about telling you to look within and find thyself. But they're all verbs. Do you understand that? Verbs. That means action. Everything of truth requires your action. Requires you to do something externally. To take the notion upon yourself, the gumption upon yourself to say, I'm going to find this. I'm going to look for this. I'm going to strive for this. I'm not going to just sit and accept whatever I hear or whatever I see as the truth. Even if it's somebody I believe in, I'm going to research everything they say. I'm going to ask Spirit to confirm that within my spirit that it's the truth. I'm not going to just settle. I'm not going to just conform. But I'm going to rise up. I'm going to grow in enlightenment. And we're going to create a new world together. A world that maybe one day we will be all one people. Maybe one day we'll all be one religion. Who knows? If we all just love each other and accept each other for who we are, one day there'll be no individual races. It'll be just one. And when we begin to understand our similarities and our commonalities and our religions and our traditions, at least the hundreds of different religions might go to just a few. Because we'll find out that we're not so different than our brothers and our sisters across the street. But that we have a lot of similarities if we would just stop being afraid of change, or afraid of being wrong, or afraid of the fact that you believe something for so long that you refuse to accept the fact that you might have been wrong. And it's hard, I know. I myself have been there. When you believe something for 20 years, then all of a sudden Spirit smacks you in the back of the head and says, you know what? You were wrong the whole time. That does hurt. That does upset you. That does bother you. Enlightenment usually does. Growing spiritually usually does. But take some time this 4th of July, and as you celebrate, invite others to celebrate. Recognize what happened in the past. Do your part. Just do your part. Love your neighbors. Strive to not do what our ancestors did. Strive to be ready to listen and to understand. That when people come at you or say things that might offend you, understand that maybe you're being offended wrongly, that They're not trying to offend you. They're just trying to express themselves. And that we need to listen. Maybe that's all they need, is someone to listen about what happened to their ancestors in their past, and their religions, and their lands. And maybe someday in the future, maybe someday we can mend all the pain and all the hurt that our ancestors did. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to listen to this message. May you all be blessed, and blessed be. You know, I ask everybody that's out there to subscribe to the podcast, to share the podcast. Not only is it on the Pagan Preacher, but it is on the Ravensbrook Sanctuary. Remember to visit our website, www.theravensbrook.com. Be blessed, everybody, and always have an ear open to Spirit. Thank you, everyone. This is Richard Ravenbrook. From my heart to yours, I hope you are blessed. Please be a blessing. Share these podcasts. Share my short videos. Tell the world the work that's being done. Help me open the minds of those so closed. Help me bring into the fold those seeking truth and enlightenment. Be blessed.